What up, duders? We're gonna fucking try to make a tier list. Um, the little website wasn't working, so hopefully you guys mentally can take this down. This is only for wars. Only for wars. I'm not gonna go over stats, but I will say for attributes, you should probably want to. This is a specific thing I was doing, but you should shoot for 150. 100 is good. 150 is better, but if you can have all the PvP gear, it's better that way. I was testing something during my last war, and I think it works out very good. A lot of crit damage, and all I gotta do is get 15 or 25, 24 con, really. And I got some food for that, and it'll give me a little bit more intel. Obviously, I can swap it down, yada yada, but I'm getting new gear, doing stuff. So, skip all this. You should do 100, 150. Pick one of those two, which you want to be. Maybe even this one, but you'd have to talk to somebody who's more heavy. I'm a mage, as you guys can see, but this video is not only for mages by any means, because I'm only going over weapons, not so much like builds and stuff like that. So let's start with the sword and shield. Easy call. Sword and shield, I think you should have like 4 to 6 of these people in your wars, because you need people who are tanky and will not die to sit on the point. And also with the changes to healing, since all the AoE healing doesn't work on every single person who touches it, and or every single heal does not work anymore for the person inside of it. So you can no longer have 10 heals down and that one person get healed by 10 heals. Only one can be active at a time for the circle that are on the floor, and then obviously there's other things you can throw. So having somebody who can be tanky and sit on the point and just kind of be a shield is very, very good. This tier, I put sword and shield as S because they're a must-have in my opinion. Very easily. This one is a no-brainer. I feel like if you're not running this, you must have a crazy strategy in my opinion. Rapier though, I love Rapier, right? I have fond memories of it back in the closed beta, but now it is kind of dog shit. And that was my Discord great. Here, let's leave that. All right. But yeah, the rapier is really bad in wars. Maybe there's some tankier version of this build, like not this one specifically, but maybe with like, you know, a combination of these. But as of right now, most people use it with like the intel like combo, and you'll put a gem in it and do a whole bunch of damage. But you're so squishy, and it only does single target damage. Is really bad, honestly. That's probably the worst part about it. In a war, you don't want that. So this is F tier. Yeah, let's say D tier. I'm not gonna make an F tier. This is D tier. Like, you should not use rapiers at all in wars. I would never recommend this item at all. Hatchet, on the other hand, Hatchet is kind of crazy. Like, I think it still very much sucks because it's mainly one single target. But the Undying is very good. This is very, very good. I've seen healers run it. Do I think it's the most optimal? Because I still think you should go Ice Gauntlet. But I think it's pretty good. You know, the more I think about this, the more I'm like, this is just dog shit. This is a D, in my opinion. I'm not gonna change that. This is D. If you're using this, you could just use Ice Gauntlet, because if you get that low, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be that low as a healer in the first place. You should pay attention to your HP and move out, yada yada. So yeah, this is for sure D tier here. Like, the hatchet is not good. Spear, I think spear's okay. I know a lot of people use it on their back for like sword and shields, or just like the bow users, because it's very good for the bow users. But I'm gonna put a C tier because I don't think it's good, period. Honest to God, it's not good for wars that much, because most of the abilities are very melee range and they do very low damage. And I think that's the biggest part of the spear that sucks, is the fact that it does low damage. It has a lot of CC, and maybe that's a good thing it does low damage, because like you have like what, 1 2 3 4 like CC and ability. This one's not much of a CC, but you have this many CC abilities, and if they all did like high damage, probably would be really bad, because I know this one does high damage once you get down here to the coup de grace. But yeah, no, this is a C tier item for sure. This is not that great for wars. I would not recommend this, to be honest. Like, but the great axe, on the other hand, everybody knows who's their daddy, and it's the great axe. The great axe is just very, very strong overall. Gravity well, obviously, in my opinion, one of the best. Gravity well paired with gravity, very OP. You can really make it to where people just cannot use their stamina even if they have full stamina, and it really cucks them. It's really really good to have this. I'm hearing things about Maelstrom. Do I know if it's good yet? I will make another video for that if I find things out about it. But it seems like you can animation cancel and use it, and it might be really OP actually. Reap standard, charge standard. You should never take execute. The great axe obviously is S tier. This is a must-have in wars in my opinion. I think this is the highest strength damaging strength weapon, maybe under like hammer, but hammer is more CC and doesn't have like the chase and the utility. Actually, hammer has more utility, but it doesn't have the like potential to kill as much as the great axe. So great axe is S tier. Hammer, I don't have any points, and I don't know if I will ever. I'll have points into it sooner or later, but hammer is S tier. If you want to win wars, I'm telling you now, have 6 to 7 people. Probably all your tanks should have hammers on their backs, and this is why I think hammers are better than spears for tanks specifically, because they kind of share the same stats. Like you can get strength or dexterity ones to increase the damage of your strength weapons too. But is it this one? You got Path of Destiny. Path of Destiny, actually all 3 of these abilities, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so Shockwave, you jump in the air, and AoE. So for tanks, this is literally, I'm going to give you guys the sauce right now. This will help in war so much. Shockwave puts people's shields down. So if one of your tanks, if you guys can coordinate like a group, say you have 5 tanks or 4 tanks in one group, right? But you guys have 6 tanks all together, and you have one of those tanks, they will hit Shockwave at a certain point. And then after that, all of the other tanks will hit Path of Destiny. And the reason for this is because Shockwave puts down the shields, Shockwave pushes them off the point. You can also put in clear out, and it will knock them even further back. So you can use a combo. It literally takes one person to do this. That one person uses Shockwave. Everybody else uses, let's just say, clear out because it's further, and then you use Shockwave or Path of Destiny to push them even further off the point, and that can give you the final ticks that you may need. And you have to remember that one person already used this, so he still has his 2, so it can be another delayed reaction to push people even further off with Path of Destiny. Not only that, all the other tanks still have Shockwave. And some people may be like, well, their shield's down, so they're taking a lot of damage. Not really. To be honest, most tanks are like almost full con, if not full con, and cannons aren't doing damage right now. Cannons to a mage and medium heavy combo is literally in the medium range, but with some heavy pieces, is only doing like 10% of that person's HP. So imagine a tank with full physical resistance, or just a lot of physical resistance, and then, you know, like 3 times much as HP or 2 times much as HP. So this combo is really really good with the great axe too. I like to have like 3 people who are like 3 to 5 people in the war with a great axe hammer combo, and then tanks all have this have a sword hammer combo, so they can basically push people off points if we need it. Also Path of Destiny can hit the backline because the range is so far. I gave you guys a lot right there, but that is really the sauce. I promise you, you will not go wrong with this. This is something you should implement into your wars now. I'm gonna put these 2 together. Bow, not that good at all. Is decent. Obviously, is pretty decent. If they have a cloth user, which no one in wars right now should have cloth, you should not be in the light category at all. If you're in light category, I'm very sorry to tell you that is not good. You die in like 4 to 5 hits. Everybody else is super tanky, and you're not helping your team. If you're for funding it, fuck it, do you? But you should not do that, because these bow people will demolish you. Musket, on the other hand, Musket is in a weird state. So I think I said this is S tier. I think I did say that, but Bow's C tier, because I'm putting Musket in B. But Bow is C tier because it's not a guarantee that you can hit people on cannons and stuff with it, because you have to get the range down. And if you can do that, it's higher as B tier. And then for Musket's B tier because it's so easy for you to be like, oh, this person's on a cannon, which can save your team, and just right click their head or left click their head a couple times. They probably will not die because most people in wars get off. And I would recommend taking this. I think a lot of people don't take this, but this is probably one of the best abilities that you can get. Basically, it increases your damage by a little bit, or you deal 100% damage. Your reload is reduced by 75%. Also, you can shoot up to 5 bullets if you get the 2nd tier. So, and you can reduce the cooldown, which is probably good for wars. And now that I think about it, so I'll probably take this once I actually start leveling my musket again. But yeah, muskets can just pick people off of the cannons. Not, I would not use it so much on actually even on defense, because if you're not shooting at cannons, you can shoot at healers, and it's like guaranteed damage. You know, healers and mages, because it's guaranteed damage. Like it's not really hard to aim and shoot on somebody. You know, obviously people have rolls and all that stuff, but everybody misses a bit. Left clicks, but this one is just going to be way more consistent, because you can even just aim at the body and probably land most of them even during roll animations. So musket is for sure B tier easily. It's not going to go higher because other weapons are better. Fire staff is A tier. Fire staff is S tier. I don't think there's an A tier, to be honest. I don't think anything is like borderline great for the wars that isn't there already. Because this is these are S tier easily, and then I don't want to go over those yet, but these are like either B or A tier. So the musket could be A tier. I just haven't used it myself enough, but from my understanding of how people use it, is doing very well for us. They just have low damage output, and that's why I have it in like the C category or the B category instead of like A. So then we have fire staff. We have the mage, the magic users, bro. Everyone probably knows what these are, but I'm gonna give you some tips on them. So all of those are S tier, easy. This is probably the most. You have the most variety with this. This is a build I enjoy using, and it gives me a lot of high damage. I just did 1,000,000 damage, was like number 11 in damage, and I'm a leader of a group, and basically I didn't get to do much for the first 5 minutes because I had a role to play. You know, I don't want to give out my secrets, but pillar of fire, very good in wars because you may not get focused, and with the perk you can get it down to like a 3-second cooldown, basically spam it on people. Obviously you have to hit it and stuff, but also it can tick twice. I don't know if this shows here. It doesn't say, but yeah, this can tick twice if you hit them in like the center, I think, of it exactly, and you can basically blow somebody up for like 1,300 twice, because it basically does the same amount of damage as incinerate, just doesn't leave the dot afterwards. So both of these are very high burst damage, probably the highest damaging abilities in the game. This one just probably has a little bit more because you have extra burns afterwards. So I would recommend trying this. I don't personally think meteor is good. Someone was saying they're taking people for like 300 with meteor. I don't know if that's true or not, but even if you're taking somebody for 300 with meteor, and that's a lot of somebody's, technically yes, your DPS will be high. But the issue for me is the fact that you don't do anything for your team. Pepper spraying 20 people means nothing when there are 10 different healing circles down, and then there's a whole bunch of orbs, protection orbs flying in that are also AoE healing. Like, it just doesn't really mean anything, and then most healers are left clicking directly on the point, so it's not doing anything. I would very, very, very much say don't use this fucking weapon. This skill. This is very OP. This is good for killing out the backline very easily, or anybody you just kind of see. This is probably the best ability on fire staff in the sense of consistent damage. It's very easy to land. You just look at them, throw it, and it has an arc to it, so it doesn't like it has drop. It has drop to it, so it's not just literally look at them and click, but it basically is that, especially at a certain distance. Like you can get melee range and hit somebody for like 2,000 for no reason. Incinerate, I really didn't like Incinerate, because if you could get to the back line inside of like 4 people, or in your dreams in like 8 people and hit Incinerate, oh my god, every single person who got hit by this, it hits twice, so they all take like 1,500 damage twice. They just get chunked, bro. It's so fucking nice, and it also pushes them back, so it displaces a little bit while chunking, and then you can swap back to this and try to finish. But yeah, Incinerate is very much up there. I will recommend this. Flamethrower, don't ever use this. Flamethrower is very, very bad in all situations. I would never recommend using this. Maybe in dungeons, and that is it, and that is all. And even in dungeons, this outshines it, so there's no reason really to take Flamethrower right now. Burnout's really good. Burnout's really, 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 really good. I know I didn't go in depth for most of the other like weapons like this, but there's a reason for that, because most of the other ones are pretty simple, straightforward. Burnout though, The weapon damage is 130 basically, and it does a lot of damage, especially when you hit a lot of people. I think there's a ability, yeah, so you can basically refund more or less most of the cooldown for this by just hitting like 6 7 people. Let's like on average you'll hit like 3 to like 6, to be honest. Like I've hit upwards of like 10 and 15 at times. So like I like to burn out, get kind of like close into like the middle of their team, and then hit incinerate. So they all just take a whole bunch of like, and this also applies dots. So they just get like 8 dots on them and take a whole bunch of burst damage. It's really nice. So give the fire staff out a try. Like this is probably the class you want the most at the moment in wars. I like to do a basically 50-50 split, to be honest, like more like 45 55 like split. So great axe hammers, or great axe and something, but normally great axe hammer with like 12 of these maybe, and then like 14 fire staff ice gauntlets. Life staff though, life staff is, I don't think there's the question. I don't even think I need to go over this. Take life staffs, and if you guys have smaller groups, actually, if you have smaller groups, having a DPS with an offhand life staff is really good, actually, because if your healer, who is supposed to be with that minor group, starts getting threatened, this person can heal them, and they basically are unkillable because they have 2 healers now. You know, it's really, really, really good. So that's the biggest tip I would say that you should try out. And then ice gauntlet. Ice gauntlet is meta right now. It's very meta. This is probably, I think there's no other way about going about it other than this, except for healers. With healers, me personally, I'd probably get rid of I get rid of the storm, to be honest. Like there's not a reason to use a lot of mana in my opinion. I know the storm is like one of the parts that people love the most, but as a healer, you're not staying on this weapon to do damage. You're doing it to basically just use entomb. So if you put ice pylon down, any person on you, even if it, look, now you're just doing some damage, because if this stayed after you swapped your weapon, it'd be good. But since it doesn't, most people swap to ice gauntlet, uses entomb, and then get out. This obviously costs mana, and you're a healer, so you may not want to use mana. But me personally, as a fire mage, I don't really run into mana. I run into mana issues a lot, but I have so many potions in war that it doesn't matter. But if I would, as a healer, I'd take these 3. And the reason again for it is ice pollen is just a little bit extra damage for everybody, and it lasts for so long. It says 15 seconds here. I think you can increase the duration. It's all slow, so that's pretty good. Regenerates health, doesn't matter. Dodging doesn't matter. Increase this is pretty decent, so it can last longer. And then double the pylon's health and extend the ice pylon's frost radius. Standing in the area, empowers frost bonuses. Okay, I don't really, this really doesn't matter, but yeah, the ice pylon is pretty good, and obviously you can still go ice storm. I wouldn't say one or the other is better for healers, but for DPS, this is your combo. This is exactly what you should be running. You might want to change out some of the traits, like this minor traits, but otherwise, I think this is basically where it's at. Let me see, why do I not have the allies? Use speed boost, and then frostbite rends the target, reducing their defenses. I should probably pick this up. This is actually really good. I gotta pick this up because I don't want this, to be honest, at all. So enemy, okay, let me start reading shit. But yeah, obviously ice gauntlet is very up there. S tier. So I would very much recommend fire staff, ice gauntlet, life staff. This life staff build too, for healers, don't follow this as a personal healer in your like realm server and all that, because this is more for like the DPS build from my understanding. I never really got around to using great axe life staff, but yeah, this is basically the build for that and not so much for wars. But you want fire staff, you want ice gauntlet, warhammer, a must. I feel like warhammer is low-key slept on, not because it's bad, but because it's not good in single fights. Like in a 1v1 scenario, it's not that good because all this shit is telegraphed. But in wars, when it's just a clusterfuck of people on the flag, hitting shockwave into all the other abilities coordinated specifically does so much for you. It's almost impossible for you not to gain extra ticks on the flag, and if not, just get extra ticks to like just be able to like take control of a flag point, you know. Like if I right now during our wars, I can't say for all servers, but there's a lot of healers and mages who dip in and out of the circle to basically get heals, and they'll use the Ice Gauntlet freeze, so they'll be stuck there like in their little pillar. But sometimes you might hit them before they get in and combo them with CC. Also, again, the Path of Destiny will basically hit them, and it can hit the back line, which also helps because you don't always need to kill people, but you can CC them. One more tip for the war: if you've stayed this long, do not kill anybody. Do not finish any kills, because the longer people are down, the better. Like I've in a war, there was literally 2 people I downed, and they just sat there, and one realized later that I wasn't gonna finish him off, and he finally hit E to like kill himself. Like that extends their death timers. So yeah, I hope you guys liked it. It's a lot longer than I would have liked, but and also it wasn't as professional I would have liked, because I wanted to use the actual tier list website, but you know, was having issues with it, so fuck it. This should help a lot of people, to be honest. Again, Ice Gauntlet, very, very OP right now. I would recommend this for everybody. Fire Sap, obviously OP. Like these 3 weapons are just unmatched right now, and I think you make arguments for everything else other than Sword and Shield and Great Eyes, because these are kind of like staples. Everything else is kind of like you can make an argument for. I just found Warhammer having all the CC for your tanks specifically, it would like push people off of points, and even for like people who hit backlines, it just makes it so much easier to defend or attack. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't sleep on your Warhammers. Try it out at least in a war. I'm telling you, you will not regret it. The Warhammer is very OP.